It's irresponsible.
It's irresponsible.
And bad optics.
Yeah, it's bad optics.
Yes. I would judge them.
Yeah.
I would probably still be friends with them after the whole thing's over, but I'd be like, that was a bad move.
Yeah. Definitely.
Zoom me.
Yeah.
Actually, don't. I don't want to be involved in your fucking wedding if you're having it in person.
I don't want any time.
And that goes to the future, too. No more weddings.
No more weddings. Cancel them all.
Now that I got married, I'm done.
Ban straight marriage.
I agree. All right, that's it. This episode of Weekly Weird News is sponsored
For the past week, it's covered for around 5 years. No one knows how it got there or who put it there. Though, based on close-ups taken by visitors who ventured out to it, it probably wasn't aliens.
Careful, everyone.
We can say with some certainty it was humans. And now it's gone. Boom. Yeah. And no, while government officials had planned to remove it to avoid too many people making the dangerous journey out to New Zealand, it seems that just as mysteriously as it appears, the Utah monolith has vanished, and no one knows who took it.
Yeah.
It's just gone.
Again,
You blocked it?
based on our luck with these videos being posted, by the time this video goes up, there's going to be a TikTok video of someone loading it into a truck and driving it away.
Or
It does look very stupid.
Maybe it takes Sundays off.
Yeah, no, it just tucks into the earth.
Yeah.
It's the day of rest, and then it pops back out.
Yeah.
An official statement from the Bureau of Land Management on Saturday, it reads as follows. We have received credible reports that the illegally installed structure, referred heretofore as the monolith, has been removed from Bureau of Land Management public land by an unknown party. The BLM did not remove the structure, which is considered private property. We do not investigate crimes involving private property, which are handled by the local sheriff's office. The structure has received international and national attention, and we received reports that a person or group removed it on the evening of November 27th. The perfect crime.
I loved reading these posts because either a lot of people are really good at making this joke, or a lot of people do seem to actually think that the U.S. government has given a bunch of land to the Black Lives Matter movement.
I love it.
And wait, why is it BLM land? This isn't fair.
That's great. Yeah, it's really allows people to tell on themselves.
Now, of course, plenty of people still made the trip out to the site of the monolith, which is a long and difficult trip to make.
But what else do you do?
And they did it not knowing that it was already gone. So there's a bunch of pictures now of people just standing around a pile of small stones placed where the metal monolith is.
Even one of those like small glass Mother Mary candles. Yeah, like somewhere like where someone got shot. Yeah, just a nice little thing to represent.
Make that trip out in the middle of fucking nowhere to see a whole bunch of nothing. Yeah. As for what happened to it, Utah reporter Brian Schnee of Fox 13 spoke to a guy who may have reached the site just after it was ripped, and says that he saw a pickup truck leaving the area while he was entering with what looked like a large object in the truck bed. He also says that someone had taken a big old dump where the monolith had been.
I'm telling you, it's Elon Musk and his Cybertruck.
Yeah.
It's so big, so amazing of a truck, it could fit a monolith in the back.
Yeah.
And I took a grab there just to make sure that everyone knew it was me.
It does look a lot like the Cybertruck, but stainless steel.
So who took it? Was it Elon Musk? I don't know, probably not. But we don't know who took it or who took the dump, at least currently.
Yeah.
Maybe it was some greedy collector who wanted it all to themselves. Maybe it's going to pop up on like Christie's like for resale soon. Maybe it was someone hoping to sell it to the highest bidder. I mean, this thing's got international acclaim. It's got to sell for more than that banana.
The thing is, it's a very simple design. Like, anyone...
Here goes
with a metal
nothing.
shop can make it. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, it's about the response to it. A banana you can go buy for, how much can a banana cost? $10?
Banana came from Wall Gallery.
Yeah, but and so this has a claim, so it's therefore worth at least as much as a banana.
But I think its value is derived from the fact that it is out in the middle of nowhere. You take it out of its environment, it's just some sheet metal.
You see, I think Kanye West comes in, he's gonna put it back in another area in the middle of nowhere in Wyoming.
I mean, that'd be interesting if this thing just kept popping up.
Yeah, in random spots. It could have been Native Americans, though, who were mad about seeing their land desecrated. That could have been it.
Yeah, they weren't too happy about it.
No, or maybe it was a rogue Utah public safety official who wanted that thing gone and didn't feel like dealing with whatever red tape might actually be involved. We may never know where the monolith went, but it was a fun story to follow in an otherwise pretty depressing year. Like, it was a week of just being like,
Hey, get out.
The monolith today.
Yeah, it was basically this year's Storm Area 51.
Yeah.
Much smaller in scale.
Yeah.
Just a fun thing for people around the world to think about together and not have to worry about anything else.
My only wish is that it could have remained around for at least 3 or 4 more weeks and been decorated like a Christmas tree. That would have been nice.
I mean, Christmas trees are, they're dangerous, they're flammable. Why not put up a nice Christmas
Rod.
Christmas monolith?
Yeah. It's like the Festivus pole.
Yeah, the Festivus pole, but like, if Elon Musk designed it.
Yeah. So anyways, farewell, Monolith, and thank you for blessing our lives wherever you are.
Yeah. In other news now, here's an update on a story from a few weeks ago about how COVID-19 outbreaks at mink farms in Denmark had gotten so out of hand that the Danish government decided to just go ahead and kill all of the roughly 15 million minks in the country. Pretty fucked up, but also all those minks were going to be slaughtered for their fur anyway, and for whatever reason, it turns out minks are just really, really good at catching and spreading coronavirus, and letting that continue to happen could result in humans contracting a mutated version of the virus that the vaccines currently in development wouldn't work on, so had to be done, I guess.
So over the last month or so, there has been a mink genocide happening in Denmark, with the tiny bodies of the weasel-like creatures being dumped into mass graves by trackers. So that's that. Or apparently not, because over the past week, we've gotten news headlines like this one from USA Today. Dead minks infected with a mutated form of COVID-19 rise from graves after mass culling. Or this headline from The Guardian. Culled mink rise from the dead to Denmark's horror.
Oh my God.
Hello there.
That's a lot, right? What the hell is going on here? Has coronavirus officially mutated into a zombie virus that reanimates its victims as mindless killing machines hell bent on consuming the flesh?
At this point, whatever. Seems about right.
Minks are finally using their comeuppance.
Yeah, except no, that's not stuff. Which is good. I mean, it's exciting to hear that. It's like, hey, zombies. Sure. Check that off your checklist. But it's not zombies. And that's a good thing, because that would be bad. Turns out in Denmark, they kind of rushed through the whole mass culling thing, and they failed to consider the fact that the bodies of dead mammals can get pretty bloated as they decompose and release gases, and dumping tens of thousands of minks into a single mass grave and covering it with just about like a meter of dirt resulted in the minks at the top of the pile being pushed up by the gases of the minks below them, and in some cases breaking through the dirt and appearing as if they had risen from the dead.
So, no, there aren't actually zombie minks, but this is still a huge problem considering these minks are riddled with COVID-19. Just a COVID-19 gas cloud.
Yeah.
They might attract scavenger animals that spread the disease, and also at least a few of these burial sites are near lakes and underground water reserves, which would of course prompt fears of contamination. So now they're deciding whether to dig them up and rebury them properly, or dig them up and just incinerate them. And on top of all that, it came out a few weeks back that the original order to cull all the things didn't actually have a legal basis, which prompted the Minister of Agriculture to resign in shame.
Yeah, this whole mink situation in Denmark, it's front-page news over there. It's a scandal.
Well, at least shame still works in Denmark.
Yeah, it's nice.
Thank
nice
you.
Officials resign.
Farewell.
You know what? I fucked up. And I'm gonna take credit for it.
Yeah, I shouldn't be doing this anymore.
Yeah.
See ya. Anyways, so that's the minks' current situation. If they do, in fact, rise from dead, we'll let you know. But let's move on now to some sporting news. Here in the U.S., that's currently mostly just like NFL and college football and MLS soccer, all of which have been dealing with just constant COVID-19 issues, including the Denver Broncos having to play without a real quarterback on Sunday and getting just destroyed. They had to just call up one of their receivers, have him do the throw.
I know they lost, but I don't think it was by that much.
It was bad.
I mean, it was by a lot, but they scored a couple points.
Well, anyway, it's all kind of a bummer. Let's look overseas at sports in another country, one that isn't currently being completely ravaged by a pandemic. Let's say it's South Korea.
Here goes nothing.
The Korean professional baseball league, the KPO, recently had their championships. The NC Dinos which Korean team we root for, guys? And the Dinos was the one they chose because of the mascot, which is his name is like Sweet Buddy or something, which is Swole Bronx. And America, they can play to NCAA North Carolina.
Here goes nothing.
This is for champagne out of it, which is pretty cool, but it's still not as cool as a giant fucking sword. And I don't know how we're just now finding out about this, but maybe it's because of the coronavirus and everyone being a little more interested in their country's sports.
Well, okay, actually, despite American social media talking about the sword as if it is the Canadians championship trophy, the actual trophy is this thing. Pretty typical looking sports trophy. The sword is a totally new thing, and is actually a gift that the Dino's owners, NC Soft, made for the team in case they won. NC Soft is a Korean video game company who makes a popular MMO called Lineage, and one of the most prized in-game items in Lineage.
Watch your back!
Still empty stands. There's no reason that the KBO NC Soft and actually championship sword. I think that would be pretty cool. Yeah, it looks a lot cooler than just the Sounders is sponsored by Xbox. They could have handed out a gigantic chainsaw gun from years ago. Yeah, it would have been a championship. Yeah, go to the second. Yeah, great. And it just fires one as a championship master chief. Yeah, exactly.
Watch your back!
This village is called fucking, and it's in Austria. Despite having a tiny population of just around 100, it's quite the tourist attraction for English-speaking travelers on account of it being a village named fucking. It's been named some variation of fucking for around 1,500 years since the village was founded in the 6th century AD by someone named Flacco. Flacco, what a fun name! But the name became a problem after World War II when British and American soldiers based in nearby Salzburg noticed fucking on a map and started traveling to it to have their pictures taken for themselves. Fun. You know, you're out of war. Kinda gotta cut loose a little fucking. It's hilarious. It's the last thing I saw before we got into a real heated battle. The locals known as fuckingers. Why are they
Here goes nothing.
They were initially amused by all of this, having not known but over the years, all these pictures become more of an annoyance. The lady who lives in the brick she was into it, and now not so much. But yeah, after 70 years of British and American tourists stopping by to take pictures and laugh, and occasionally steal those signs, which are cheap. Fuckingers or fuckers have officially had enough. They voted last week to change the village's name starting January 1st. There have previously been pushes to change the name that didn't get enough votes, but it's finally happening. After centuries. New name? Fugging. F-U-G-T-I-N-G. What? Why? That's so stupid. I don't think that this is better.
So it's apparently a better written representation of how the residents actually pronounce the name. It's unclear if the change will be enough to stop foreigners from doing what foreigners do. I don't think it will. Bugging is still a funny word if you're American.
Just name it after like some local fauna or something, like Americans do.
Yeah.
When they name neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Willow.
Yeah, I mean most neighborhoods in like Southern California at least, I feel like they just consult a book. They just
like what's the local trees? Oakwood.
Maple Creek.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. There's no maples nor creeks in this neighborhood. It's Maple Creek.
Yeah, exactly.
White Oak Lane. There we go.
It's Mad Libs with nature.
Yeah.
Just do that. That's what Americans do.
Yeah, I don't do that in Austria. So yeah, it's fugging. Fucking is now fugging. And now everyone in that village, when they're hitting on each other, hey, you want to go fug? Dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's still no news from the nearby villages of Oberfucking and Unterfucking, whether they plan on changing their names. But there's still those towns. If you want to go out of your way in the middle of kind of nowhere in Austria and stand in front of a sign and be like, check it out.
Yeah. Moving on to influencer news, though, Jake Paul is now 2-0 in the boxing ring, having knocked former NBA player Nate Robinson the fuck out at a pay-per-view on Saturday night.
You don't see those kind of knockouts in boxing as much.
He need sleep.
Yeah. He fucking fell on his head. Like, I'm kind of worried.
It was like he was knocked around first, and then 10 seconds later, just boom.
Yeah.
There was a one edit going around of him in his like most famous dunk contest, and he just goes up, like as soon as it hits the basket, just there's like so many memes. It's great.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you bring millennials and Generation Z and welcome them into sporting events with open arms. You're gonna get all this free content out of it.
Yeah.
It's a snowball effect of promotion. Having said that, we spoke about this before we started filming, but like all of this, including the Tyson fight, is just an exhibition. It might as well be the WWE of boxing. People are getting hit, but it means nothing in like, there's no sanctions or anything.
Yeah, it's just amateur boxing.
Promoting
That's all boxing is
social
anymore.
media apps.
Ever since MMA became like the fighting sport of the 21st century, like boxing is just for weird shit like this. Like Mike Tyson's 100 years old, but he wants to fight, so I guess we'll let him. Whatever.
Yeah. And you'll pay for it.
Yeah.
Look, Jake Paul, we gotta give it to him. He knocked that guy the fuck out.
He seems pretty good at this.
But he's also still kind of a fucking idiot. I mean, you knew that. And this is even more evidenced by a recent pre-fight interview that he did with the Daily Beast. After asking Jake about his upcoming fight, writer Marlo Stern shifted the conversation over to Jake Paul's various controversies. Now, let's read from the section of the interview that gave it its headline, and that is, Jake Paul believes COVID is a hoax and 98% of news is fake.
All right, so I'll be the writer Marlo Stern here.
Okay.
I gotta say, I saw all this stuff over the summer, and it did piss me off a little bit. You were hosting these giant maskless parties at your home in Calabasas as COVID cases were spiking in the state, and it drew a bunch of neighbor complaints and condemnation from the mayor. And when Insider asked you about it in late July, you said, I personally am not the type of person who's gonna sit around and not live my life. Do you regret those comments, and are you still living by that mentality?
Yeah, I mean, it's time for us to open up. Obviously, it's a controversial subject, but it's time for our nation to open up and go back to normal.
You really think that?
Yeah, 100%. There are people losing jobs. There are small businesses who are going bankrupt. There are millions of people who are unemployed right now. People are turning to alcohol and drugs to cope with everything that's going on. This is the most detrimental thing to our society. COVID cases are at less than 1%. I think the disease is a hoax.
You think the disease is a hoax? It's killed about 260,000 people so far this year.
Yeah, and so has the flu.
No, the flu has only killed a fraction of that, and we also have a vaccine for the flu.
Okay.
The flu kills between 20,000 and 70,000 people a year. We have a mass-produced vaccine for it.
Don't we have a vaccine for COVID?
Not yet. They're hopeful we will soon. It's been approved by the FDA based on early-stage trials, but it hasn't been introduced to the market yet. So they're hopeful that there will be a vaccine out very soon, although distribution also poses a big problem. But I want to talk about why you think COVID is a hoax.
I don't have to elaborate.
You don't want to elaborate on that?
No. Sounds like they interviewed my dad.
Yeah. It's a long interview, and it's just like it's a really interesting look into this guy's mind. Like they get really hostile towards the end. Jake Paul starts like accusing him. He's like, so you just did this interview with me to pick a fight with me and point out. And he's like, we started this interview by talking for 10 minutes about like boxing and why you love it and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want me to not address like all these other newsworthy things? It's like, I don't know, man. You're just trying to do some gotchas.
I'm literally asking you about things that you did.
Yeah. Yeah, this is wild.
Why are you making me look bad by repeating things that I've done and said?
Yeah, by the end of the interview, he's like being kind of fucking sick, this writer. But anyways, Jake Paul, he ended up accusing Marlo Stern of just straight up like misquoting him, like he called it fake news. And then Marlo Stern posted the audio from the interview showing that he absolutely wasn't misquoted. And then Jake went and knocks the shit out of Nate Robinson. So
all of this is in the past and no one cares about it anymore because everyone's like, damn, you really knocked that guy out.
Yeah, but in other celebrity news, in more positive, fun celebrity news, you've probably heard the meme where it's like advice on how to be successful in some way, but step one is always just be attractive. Well, George Clooney, a very attractive man, gave an interview recently on CBS News Sunday Morning that is possibly the strongest evidence ever that you can.
Saving Western civilization one childish dick joke at a time. Here they are, your new heroes of the Imperium, Mersh and Royce Logan.
Yo, how's everybody doing out there, guys? I mentioned this, actually, Royce Lopez. It's Thursday. We're here. We've only got 2 days left. It's nice Christmas. It's happy times. We're gonna get forced vaccinated. Feels like, right? Yeah, it's happening. That's a good thing to look forward to. That really is what it seems like. I feel like if we get a time machine, we go back. Don't vote for Trump.
You ready for this?
No, it's still gonna happen. It's what's happening now. It's coming no matter what. I don't know. I feel like if you let them keep their like pedophile island, fucking kids and satanic rituals. So I feel like increased scrutiny and kids yeah, I know. I've been queuing on stuff too, but I think the real reason is it's just more power. It's more of a power grab. That's all it is. I mean, it's like I used to have
Here goes nothing.
I mean, they never look at it. Talking about they would have that a lot of issues. As far as
You ready for this?